Okay, I'm here. All right. This is Basketbros. Welcome. It's another Sunday night, and we are here to bring you the hottest in throwback basketball topics. I am your moderator, Denzel Snipes. Kind of caught me on a kind of source here. I was trying to get the ending to the Raiders Seahawks game, and my stream kind of messed up. But anyway, we got a great show for you guys. So just tune in with us and engage in some conversation with us. Of course, you're more than welcome to get in the comments and engage with us, on everything. We got a load of show. But first, let's get everybody in here. He popped in just now, right before the show started, but he's here. He's our resident DJ all the way out in Charlotte. His Panthers won today, so I know he's in a good mood. So, Will Vogel, come on in.
BB instead of doctor, people are like Dr. So-and-so, BB.
Well, basketball Will Vogel.
Yeah.
I like it.
Instead of being Dr. Will Vogel, BB, basketball Will Vogel. Yep,
basketball
Panthers
Will Vogel, that
won,
sounds pretty good.
But
Carolina lost.
Tar Heels, yeah. I don't like talking about that.
Yeah, that one was that one was rough. That was a rough one.
That's a head scratcher.
It is. It is. But I mean, they played them tough. But I don't know. I don't know why. I just kind of like with Texas
wait,
and like.
Did they lose again today?
Yes, they lost in what was it? They lost in 4 overtimes to Alabama.
There was 4 overtimes?
Yep.
Losing to freaking Alabama, losing to Iowa State. What the heck's going on?
Yep, I have no clue. But hey, let's bring another one in here. He is the architect of the Pundit's Pundit, Mr. Jacob Christner. Come on in.
Well, I am the architect right here, but they're going to tear our building down if we keep trying to interrupt a great game like this.
Right. Well, I mean, you can kind of take solace in the fact that the Raiders missed that field goal. You can kind of take solace in the fact that if they're interrupting, at least it's not Aaron Judge up to bat. Sorry, Will.
Well, and absolutely true. And absolutely true. And here's the biggest thing, like I said to you this earlier. On my fantasy teams, I've got Derek Carr in one and Geno Smith in the other.
Right.
So I'm having a little fun with this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least, coming on in here, he is the president of Tribune South, and I see it on his head right now. I'm pretty sure he was out there planting the flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium because the Wolverines did the damn thing on Saturday. Come on in here, Scott Morganroth.
And he's got Larry Bird's mustache.
Oh, that's it too. Well, hey, listen, that's what I do have as a mustache. Glad you brought Indiana State. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, it was interesting. I had yesterday was about as eventful as you can get. I'm watching U of M beat Ohio State, which nobody expected us to do.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm covering the Miami Hurricanes. I get to the stadium about 4:00 and don't get home till 1:30 in the morning after a tough loss. And of course, we're talking to Mario Cristobal, the head coach. And yeah, go blue. I'm wearing a cane, so I show a little bit of loyalty to both of the schools that I have a vested interest in. It was pretty neat. I'm glad that the Buckeyes 2 years in a row have to start looking the other way. That we planted a flag there, and they tried to pin. They thought they were going to pin 100 on us last year. They haven't gotten 102 games. So I really feel bad for the Buckeyes. Not.
I'll say something real quick before we go to our first topic. Scott, I'm actually going to the ACC championship game on Saturday, Carolina versus Clemson. I'm a Clemson fan.
Good for you.
Nice.
Good for you. I hope you have a wonderful time, though.
I'm in lower levels. My best friend's a Carolina fan, so we're kind of clashing, but we're going to have fun.
Well, for whatever it's worth, you Carolina people, back in 1982, I was at the game where Carolina won a national championship over Georgetown at the New Orleans Superdome with Michael Jordan and all that. I was a fan at the time.
Hitting the shot. Nice.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Something I really think highly, but have a good time, Will. Good stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Man, that's going to be great, man. Well, I'll be watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you on TV, man.
We like my Basketbros, my Basketbros.
Well,
you know what? Yeah, bring a big poster board that says Basketbros with like all these hashtags.
Dude, if I ever go to a college game day, I'm going to definitely make a sign that says that.
Well, you know what? For whatever it's worth, I don't have any games scheduled for a while unless I get to Jacksonville and cover a football game or to within the next couple of months. So I have a clear schedule, and I haven't really been able to grasp what it's like to have a clear schedule. I'm having withdrawals already, and it's only been less than 24 hours.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just say, make the poster board, Basketbros, we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just before we get to our first topic, just want to remind everyone that we are sponsored by the Score No Score app on Google Play and the Apple App Store. And also, if you are a first-time viewer, first of all, thanks. Second of all, hopefully you come back. Third of all, whichever platform you're catching us on, just know that there are 3 of them total. Oh, my God. Josh Jacobs with a long touchdown to end it.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, my fantasy points went sky high. Final 40-34.
That's the most unbelievable laugh I've ever heard. My goodness.
That's a
man. That run was great. Oh, man. Anyway, anyone that's sorry for that, but if you're a first-time subscriber, just know that you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Leave us that like, but also subscribe to Sideline Sports because we got a lot of great material. But getting on to our first topic. So it was supposed to be last week that we covered this, but Scott couldn't be on the show, and he has ties to this man. So we decided to do it tonight. And this is our Basketbros legend, the Dennis Rodman. Now, the worm Dennis Rodman. He was a 27th overall pick from Oklahoma State. He's a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA third team, 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time NBA All-Defensive first team, All-Defensive second team, 7-time rebounding champion, a 75th anniversary team, Detroit Pistons number 10 retired, and he's in the Hall of Fame as a pro. In his career, he averaged 7.3 points per game, 13.1 rebounds per game, and 1.8 assists per game. And he was known for most definitely his flamboyancy. The man was a literal walking fashion statement in probably 3 or 4 different decades. Before the decade that he was in. Crazy. You know, a guy that was all about being himself. Didn't care what the media had to say. Didn't care what the fans had to say. He was going to be himself. He was the life of the party. You know, he was a walking block party anywhere he went. Everyone's watched The Last Dance when he's sitting there hung over and he's in a workout room. He takes a kamikaze shot. See, they don't build players like that anymore. Of course, it wouldn't be a smart idea really now because, you know, they're getting healthier now when the training's a little bit more intense and, you know, things like that. But that just goes to show you back then. But you know what? It also kind of reminds me of the old AFL, Lynn Dawson on the sideline smoking a cigarette before the game or at halftime, you know. He was just built different, man. Like with Dennis Rodman, some people would say he was the epitome of that tough era, and you wouldn't get any disagreement from me. He wasn't but he definitely was a part of. You had him in your top 5 toughest, absolutely. You know, we discussed last week what talent would you give someone that they didn't have. I said that I would give this man a jump shot. You know, just imagine just how, you know, crucial this man could have been with a jump shot, and he already, you know, being the defensive and the rebounding prowess that he was. But, you know, here's the Dennis Rodman. He married himself on an episode of a reality show before reality shows became a thing. It's like all over the internet. Like he got in like a bride's like gown and everything.
I remember that. Yep,
it was hilarious. But not too long ago, in fact, probably about 3 weeks ago, my sister went out to a club here in Houston and saw him there and took pictures and everything. So, you know, he's even in his age, he's still going to be the life of the party. He's still going to be, you know, who he is. But let's swing it on over to Will. Your thoughts on the one and only Dennis Rodman?
The best way to describe Dennis Rodman in my terms is interesting, unique, many different words, but those 2 come to my mind. I remember also in The Last Dance where he went to Phil Jackson and said, I need a vacation. They're like, what do you mean a vacation? Oh, I need a vacation. I need to go to Vegas. He leaves. And then Jordan's like, what, why does he get a vacation? What the heck? But Dennis Rodman, the thing that shocks me is he only made 2 All-Star games.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
That's shocking.
That's a shock because he was a great defender. Sure, he wasn't great offensively, but if he was, man, like you said, if he had like a jump shot, he'd be a double-double machine. Maybe almost a triple-double with blocks. But after high school, he worked as a janitor at an airport. And then he played in the Portsmouth Invitational before he got drafted. It's a pre-draft camp for guys trying to go to the NBA, and he won the MVP. As we know, he was a great defender. He was part of the Bad Boys Pistons in the Bulls dynasty, and I think he has a case for the greatest defender of all time. He's definitely top 5 in my eyes, any position. But yeah, this guy was something else. This guy was something else on the court and off the court. He would try and get in your head defensively, and off the court, man, that guy would be the life of the party and party till party don't stop. So this guy was one of a kind.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there most definitely will never be another Dennis Rodman. There may be a half clone somewhere in the future, but no one,
you know who I thought was
quite
going to be the
like
next
him.
Rodman?
Who was that?
Ron Artest.
Yeah.
Nah. I mean, as far as
Dude,
toughness, yeah, but personality, far from it.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'll give you my take on Rodman in a moment, but you know what, Denzel? Will's not too far off base with him in terms of defensive tenacity and flamboyancy. You know what, Will? You're dead accurate with that one, bro. I'm telling you. I do believe that Will's right on this. Defensive tenacity and just tenacious personality, little off the wall. Artest was that. I used to talk to Mike Jarvis about that when he was covering FAU. We would talk about Ron Artest. And Ron Artest was one interesting guy that you had to really keep under your wing a little bit to make sure that. So, no, I think, Will, you're actually right on target with that. I really do. And so, and I'm just giving you information from the man who coached him, Mike Jarvis, who happens to live in my neck of the woods. And I've dealt with Mike for the coach Jarvis for the better part of several years, you know. So, I mean, in terms of other things, you know, in terms of comparison, maybe not so much, but in terms of where Will's
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, right.
As far as like his style of play, absolutely. Absolutely, you know. Just the other off the wall stuff, maybe not, you know. But then again,
well, think about it. You're talking off the wall stuff, though. Who in their right mind, except Artest, would name himself Meta World Peace? If that isn't off the wall, tell me what the heck
that is true.
Meta World Peace. If that isn't off the wall, then I need to really
guess what? He also was called Panda Friend.
Well, I don't care about.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
If he's Meta World Peace and Santa Claus is Jewish, forget that business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But let's swing it to Jacob really fast. Your take on Dennis Rodman?
Just to let you know, before I get to Rodman, Josh Jacobs had a 303-yard day.
Wow.
You're going to enjoy that. But here's the thing about Rodman. If you want anything that can describe Rodman, let's put it to you this way. My dad liked him. And remember this part. This is from an era where you try to put one little stud in your ear. You're a woman.
Yeah.
You know that era. Yeah. It's like the silk shirt. You know that kind of stuff. That's girly. You know that kind of deal. Yet Dennis Rodman dresses in like a woman. Skips the practice. Goes to the NWO. He does all that every bit of way, and all Dad would ever say is, "Well, as long as he plays hard." I mean, and as long as he plays hard, and it's like he loved watching him play. Just loved him he loved him giving Shaq hell. He loved how he dove on the floor. He loved the grind. He loved how he got. I remember what I said a few weeks ago. I said my dad's favorite type of his favorite type of lineup: a couple of shooters, a tough guy, a rebounder, and the point guard. I said that a few weeks ago. That's the Dennis Rodman. He loved that. He just loved that grind, and it was like regardless if the team wins or not, he just loved watching that, and he just loved watching Rodman, especially on the Bulls.
Right.
It's like especially all those. But the thing about Rodman, I'll say it from my end right now. he was one of those where could you imagine if he actually focused on the game fully? You know,
Big what if.
You got to realize this is a guy who once had 25, 28, 28 rebounds in 3 straight games. And he cared less about practice than Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you gave him Jordan, Magic, or Bird's work ethic.
Man.
Because his instincts for the ball, being around the ball, wherever it was like he just knew the game so well. He's probably one of the smartest players we've seen. Probably one of the smartest players we've seen. And it was like, and we know him as the kind of the screw up, you know, kind of he was someone who messes around. Mm-hmm. But just imagine if he was just that focused. If he was that focused, if he came like a first round draft pick, if he did all that stuff, if you gave him all that, I mean, you got to remember, wasn't he undrafted?
No, he came out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, no,
you're wrong. He did not come out of Oklahoma State.
No.
Oh,
yeah, NAIA school, wasn't it?
Yeah, okay, I'm going there. I'm waiting. This is the one topic I'm waiting until the end where you guys get what you want to get out of it, okay? Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to give you the real stuff because I dealt with this guy, okay?
Yeah, but I'll just finish this real quickly.
Southeastern Oklahoma State. Southeastern Oklahoma State.
Southeastern Oklahoma State. Yeah, that's right.
I'll say this real fast and I'll give it to Scott. Right. I miss a guy, even though we know he was a bit of I wouldn't say a screw up, but I mean, someone who liked to goof around a little bit. I miss the guy. I miss his grind. I miss his the dive on the floor. I miss a lot of that. And the guy, and you could tell even with it all, he did want to win.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. And yes, it was Southeast Oklahoma State that kind of played with me for a second. But yes, it was Southeast. At first he went to North Central Texas until 1983. Well, in 1983. Then he went to Southeastern Oklahoma State for the rest of his time in college. But Scott, I know you've been waiting, you know, a week, seems like forever for this. So give us your thoughts on Dennis Rodman, your times with him, anyone who's coached them, anything you got on Dennis Rodman. Now's the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for waiting on this last week. I was dealing with some concussion issues and migraine, so I wanted to wait because obviously this one's a little closer to me than most people realize because I covered the Bad Boys and I have a piece of their floor in my house that I probably have on the wall. So if anybody's closer to the Bad Boys situation, I feel as though I'm at. Okay, number one, you know, item number one, okay, he focused on basketball, Jacob. He did more than you think. Now, where all of his antics took place is when Chuck Daly decided to leave the Pistons, and at that point, he was a mental wreck. Okay, a mental wreck. Ron Rothstein took over. And Dennis Rodman never had that real father figure, but Chuck Daly was it. Okay. So once you take away his father figure, and Chuck and Dennis were really, really close, that's when all these things that all you guys see began to pop up. Now, Dennis and I were good friends. Okay. We were. When you go into a locker room of any kind, much less an NBA locker room, you know who your friends are. Okay. I won't say if you're in prison, okay, you know who you do like and who you're on that, nothing like that. But I knew that during that Bad Boys era, that Joe Dumars was there when I needed him. Isaiah, you know, he was a star, but he made himself available to me. I did not get along with Bell Beer. We hated each other. And I once have a great story out at the Boston Garden when I tore an ankle skiing on Christmas Day. And I was in a cast for the better part of several months, but I covered a game with the Pistons and the Celtics, and Bill Lambier copped an attitude. I said, just because you can afford your stupid car payment doesn't mean I can afford mine. And Dennis went to bat with me and told Bill to get the heck away. And you know, yeah, he did. And that's why I'm glad you waited a week, because you wouldn't hear these stories unless you're in the chat, which they don't have the effect. Nevertheless, okay, Dennis was always there when I needed him. James Edwards, another one of my favorites. And I had a lot of favorites in that locker room, but that was an interesting locker room to be a part of because of the characters that were in it. Now, here's another interesting story about Dennis Rodman. I bump into him at a bowling alley out at West Bloomfield, Michigan, and he was there with his first wife, Annie, and then she had and Alexis or whatever her name is, the young girl, and he's bowling. So I saw bumped into, hey, Dennis, how you doing? Hey, Scott, how you doing? Hey, how would you like to bowl a game or two? And he said, sure, why not? So he ends up beating me. And now you're talking about a guy that once upon a time won a story for most unusual. Well, I won a trophy for most unusual form. So it's safe to say that if Robert Redford was a natural in baseball, I was the unnatural, okay, when it came to bowling. So, so anyways, I'll never forget where he whipped me the first game. I said, yeah, I guess my form isn't that good, just like your free throw shooting. It was awful. And he's looking at me, he's smiling because Dennis has a good sense of humor. By now, when you get to know an athlete, they know when you have a sense of humor. So, I got an idea, Dennis. Since this should be an easy one for you, since my form is awful, why don't we bowl another game, double or nothing, and the winner, the loser has to pay for both games. He went for it. He had a bunch of splits, and I beat him decisively the second game and bought both games. And after that point, we used to joke around about it. So in terms of his focus, Jacob, on basketball, was better than you think. It really was. His goal
Can I ask one question to you?
Yeah.
That was his father figure. Absolutely appreciate that too. And that's awesome that Chuck Daly and him got along so well. How come he just didn't go? How come Chuck didn't bring him, or he didn't go to New Jersey when Chuck became coach there?
Well, number one, he was under contract with the Pistons anyways. He was under a contract with the Pistons. I think they signed him to a longer term deal. And number two, it wasn't the same situation when he went to New Jersey. And, his career went so many different directions because he wasn't really quite stable. He went down to San Antonio, I believe at that time. I'm trying to remember who the coach was there. But nevertheless, he went to lots of different stops.
John Lucas.
No, not that one. No, I think
wasn't Lucas?
No, wasn't not for no. I'm trying to think of the guy, Bob Hill. That's it. Okay, Bob Hill was the head coach for the San Antonio Spurs, and Rodman ran all over him like a kid would run over a substitute teacher is what he ended up doing there. And then he made his way over to the Bulls and all that, and everybody knows the story there. So I think when he lost his father figure, that's when all the antics started to happen. But he did, Jacob, focus on basketball more than you think. He admitted to me and a lot of us, he didn't care about offense. Hey, we got enough offensive guys around here. He wanted to do the little things like defense and rebounding. And you know what? He was really good at it. And when you have a team filled with offensive players like the Pistons had back then, if you notice, a lot of the teams that Rodman left, because of defense and rebounding, they all went south in a hurry with the exception of the Bulls. You have to understand that when you research the Dennis Rodman and the teams afterwards, they were awful. He was, if it weren't for him, Jordan doesn't have 6 rings. And that's why Jordan and Jackson and the rest of that group tolerated him, because they knew that if you want to win a championship, we'll deal with Dennis Rodman. They knew about him when they faced him, the Bulls anyhow. So it's not like you didn't know what you were getting. You always want to know what you're getting, okay? So you wonder if the drama is worth it and for the sake of winning. But Dennis Rodman, to me, listen, 2-time All-Star, sure, because he didn't score any, and nobody thought highly on defensive guys, but all he did was win 5 championships. I mean, how many guys would love to win 5 championships? So to me, I think Dennis Rodman can easily go down in my top 3 as defensive players in the life of the NBA.
Yeah.
Easily.
Same.
And if I were going to put another guy up there, Bobby Jones of the Sixers probably ranks up there as one of the top.
What about Gary Payton?
You know what? He doesn't. You know what? Well, talked a lot, but you know what? I like Gary Payton as a defender. I'm glad you brought him.
We covered him on the show.
Yeah, and Scott, not to mention, he's the only point guard to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I've always liked Gary Payton's game. I really.
Marcus Smart won it last year as a shooting guard.
Oh, well, he was the first one. My bad. No, Smart's a 1 guard. My bad. But Payton was the first. Go ahead, Scott.
No. So the bottom line is, to me, I would definitely go out there and tell you right now that Dennis Rodman, to me, is a guy that I am so glad you guys waited this week. I really am. I wanted to talk about this because of my close relationship with him. Dennis and I were really good friends. He's a guy to me that I can tell you right now that I am glad he made it to the Hall of Fame. And I'm glad that they recognize a defender to get in the Hall of Fame, because a lot of times you get in there because of flamboyancy and that kind of stuff, you know. And I'm glad that he is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for all the right reasons. I really
Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. So, yeah, to be able to talk about Dennis Rodman on this show, to me, makes my day. And I wanted to do it last week because I was sick, but I'm glad that you guys postponed it for a week, because I'll tell you what, I think if there's one word that I can tell you guys about Dennis Rodman, it's the word misunderstood.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's one of the
If
most
you don't
misunderstood.
know the guy, listen, if you don't get to know the guy like you do, he is the most misunderstood athlete I have ever dealt with in my 43 years in the business.
I do say that I have heard from a lot of people that have met him, talked to him. He's very, very cool. Very nice to people.
Yeah. No, Jacob, you're dead on. Yeah. I wish there were camera phones back then. But remember, though, there's that line that you have with the media. You got to be careful about taking photos and getting autographs with guys. But I don't need autographs, guys. I got the darn stories, which are far better than any autograph that you'll ever come up with. Not you per se. I'm just talking about in general. The stories are what they really, really are. And to me, you're right, Jacob. Okay, this guy was a great human being. Remember, recently he wanted to go to Russia to try to get Brittany Griner out. And said, I don't think I'm going to tackle that one. His heart's in the right place. He's probably lost a lot of money because of bad business dealings. I know he's been more of a drama kind of a person. But if you break down Dennis Rodman in the entirety and the full aspect of the man himself, to me, he's just an unbelievable teddy bear. And he's a true winner if you get past the misunderstood part and the antics that followed him. And he's a 5-time NBA champion, and you can't take that away from him either.
Right.
Yep, and he was an integral part in every ring that he won. So yes, here's to Dennis Rodman. We're about off the midway part of the show. Good way to segue into our next topic, and that is our first Basketbros moment in time. And we're going to take a trip back to 1979 when Philadelphia 76ers Darryl Dawkins shattered the backboard. It occurred on 13 November 1979. At Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City versus the at the time Kansas City Kings. And keep in mind Kansas City Kings, because that's coming up in a later topic before the end of the show. But yes, he leapt over Bill Robinson and slam dunked the ball, shattered the fiberglass backboard. People who were at the game said it sounded like a bomb was going off. There were glass shards everywhere. Even a couple of glass shards got stuck in Dr. J's afro, which is pretty funny. But yes, this right here, in my opinion, was revolutionary. You ever play NBA Jam and you can shatter the backboard in the fourth quarter and everything like that? But this, to me, was the transition, in my opinion, or the beginning of the transition. I can't really say, because in the 1980s, you still had these lean guys. And at the time period, it was like be tall and lean and in shape. Okay, you know what I mean? But to have that much power at that time period and shatter a backboard is revolutionary, because now you think about that and you go to Shaq's rookie year. He took down 2 or 3 goals, you know. I think he shattered 2 of them, you know. He was the beginning of the strong basketball player, you know. Like I'm not just gonna dunk it on you. I'm gonna bring the whole goal down, you know. And now arenas, now we haven't had a damaged backboard or goal in so long because they reinforced them now, you know. But man, what a time to be alive in the 90s and in the 80s and 70s with goals getting destroyed and torn down and everything. But man, I want to pass it on to Will, man. Your thoughts on this moment and overall basketball players wrecking backboards?
Crazy. You think of Darryl Dawkins, of course, shatters. You think of Shaq, he breaks it. The one he dunked so hard, it went backwards. I think the stanchion went backwards and went like...
Yeah, like this number. It was crazy.
Yeah. So 3 weeks, and you want to hear something crazy? 3 weeks later, he broke another backboard and got fined for this one. And the commissioner said he would suspend him every time he broke a backboard. This is what caused us later to have breakaway rims due to him. To him. due to Darryl Dawkins. But you know what? It's one of those moments in NBA history. Sure, it's not a buzzer beater or a game winner or a game-winning steal or a game-winning three-pointer. But whenever you think of NBA history, at least I do, I think of Darryl Dawkins breaking the backboard because there's only been like a handful of them broken. And you see probably there's probably over 100+ game winners. How many backboards have been broken? Oh, I don't know. Maybe 10. Maybe 15. Not a lot. So, yeah, it's definitely one of the most unique, cool moments in NBA history.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question, random question for you before I swing it on to Jacob.
Yep.
If those backboards and goals aren't reinforced, does Zion Williamson join that list?
I think so. I think him and the guy. I think there's actually someone before him.
LeBron would have.
Dwight, LeBron. Yeah, they definitely would have destroyed some goals. Swinging on over to Jacob. Your thoughts on this moment?
Just think if this happened now with the internet. How many times it'd be on TikTok? How many times on YouTube? How many all that stuff? How many on ESPN? The top 10 list. Yeah, just imagine all of that, and then the amount of people that would be on Twitter talking about how big of a badass he is. You got to remember, they do this with. Here's the deal. They do this with Darryl Dawkins. They do this with LeBron James. They come up with things like he could beat Mike Tyson because he's built different. Stupidity like that. But it's like they come up with these stupid things. But they do this online because that's what idiot fans do. But they would be absolutely doing that with Darryl Dawkins. So the difference is though, we also have a nice clip of him getting into putting up fists against Maurice Lucas and then really hesitating.
Yeah.
And then really hesitating really fast. And then the Twitter would be all over that too. So it's like, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, he has that deal now because, that made him his history because he hit it at the right time. He didn't have to have it where one side goes, oh, he's a badass. The other side goes, well, Zion can do it better. He wasn't in that era. He was in an era where there was nothing around. He was in an era, as you bring up, Scott, he's in an era of, tape delay.
Right.
He's in an era of all that stuff. So whenever anybody's seeing and watching, they can make their own idea, allow their own idea, and you don't have to hear. Philadelphia, he's probably a hero. Just like Moses Malone. He's probably the badass, just like Moses Malone. But look, you want to know something? I think about this now when you brought up Darryl Dawkins. We lost them within a few months, Moses and Darryl within a few months.
Yeah, that's true.
Both of them heart attacks.
Yeah.
And it's like you just have to wonder if it was just if they were just getting older and they had bad health, or it was just they were doing cocaine at the time, if it just affected them. It's just it's just such a different era, which these are things we're not going to see in this era. We're going to see people living older.
Yeah, absolutely. Back then was just so raw. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I said before, you had Lynn Dawson on the sideline smoking a cigarette, and you had, Dennis Rodman drinking the kamikaze and whatnot, and that was just who these guys were. There were actually more players often than not that would smoke, before a game or whatnot, Michael Jordan loved the cigars and things like that. They just went off raw ability, and that was Darryl Dawkins. Like, he just went off raw ability. And speaking of what ifs, and Jacob, you mentioned, just imagine if Dennis was a little bit more focused, and Scott, you say he was, just imagine if these dudes had paid attention to their health a little bit more than they should, Well, and how much better they probably would have been.
And you brought up Raw. Here's the thing about Raw. It was the whole idea of just Raw, that whole idea, it was the marketing. You can market that then. Like, Scott will know this. You remember Dallas, the show?
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember it so well that when I was actually in Dallas area covering the Lions and the Cowboys on Monday night, I went to South Fork Ranch. Right?
Oh, yeah, it's cool. It's like you get to Dallas, but you think about this, and this is between you and I, Scott. Yeah. You got to remember this. The kids went to public schools. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, every single person would be seen with a hot dog. or a hot dog or fast food or anything like that. And yet they would still go to a fancy restaurant, but they had a raw feel to it, a ranch. They all got dirty. They all could shoot guns. They could all do that. That's why it's to this day more popular than the other ones, because there wasn't even other than JR. There's no other snoot, and not too much of a snootiness with the others. And those were the things. Raw was marketed. You can market raw. Now everything's got to have the fanciness to it. It's just a different day.
It is definitely a different era. But speaking on the Scott, your thoughts on, I mean, where were you when this happened? Did you watch it live? Or when you found out about it, like what was your reaction when this moment happened?
First of all, I love segments when I can kick around Will Vogel and mention tape delay, knowing that little old Will here probably who knows where the heck he was, whether he was hatched or not. So I
was negative 15.
What's that?
Said I was negative 15.
Right. Okay. That's where I was going. So I'm glad you politely brought that up. Negative 15. Number one, I believe, didn't Dawkins win a world championship ring with the Pistons? I'm trying to remember if he did or not. Why don't you Google that up?
He might have. Let me look it up really quick.
I can't remember.
But in terms of commissioner, Adam Silver's so darn weak, he would never have fined anybody for doing that. He would never. David Stern was my kind of commissioner. He was a no-nonsense individual that rescued the NBA from the depths of bankruptcy is what he did. And
he did.
That's why I'm picking on my buddy Will here, just to have a little bit of fun here with this whole deal.
I also love David Stern.
Well, yeah. So anyway, back to my point. I don't know where I was. I know when I saw it one time that it was like, wow, somebody actually did this thing, broke a backboard and shattered the thing. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off of Jacob, okay, and thinking, can you only imagine if you would have had Twitter, TikTok, and all that business? And, I don't know if you heard what I said, Jacob, but I'm more of a Stern guy. Adam Silver would never have fined him a nickel because to me, it's just, I just love the old Stern nature. But, where was he?
Remember this. David Stern, Adam Silver was David Stern's lawyer for years and years and years and years. And
Puppet.
it's like Adam Silver acts. Puppet. Yeah, but Adam Silver acts like a lawyer. David Stern, you know what he acts like? David Stern acts like that, the mob negotiator.
Right.
Yes.
He acts like that mob negotiator who's going to take no crap.
Well,
and it's like where the Adam Silver is like, no, don't mess with Capone. He's like, well, I'm going to. That was the difference between them.
All right, well, say what you want. I still like Silver. I like Stern a whole lot.
No. I'm just telling you. I'm with you. I'm with you on it. I'm just telling you that's the difference with them.
Yeah, no. Like I said, you're 100% on point. But I guess if here we are 22, right, guys? Okay, and then you had TikTok, internet, and you had Twitter, and every social media on the planet. Then you can get away with it. But I think just Darryl Dawkins, unfortunately, was ahead of his time. And, there have been a lot of backboards that have been saved because of it. It took a while to put them back together and get a new one. It took a little bit of time and all that. But that's what I will love about this show with you guys, okay? We're going back at a time when the NBA was good and relevant, okay? Good and relevant. Not all this patty cake baker's man business where nobody frankly cares anyhow. I was having a spirited discussion with JB Ellis today because we always have that I love as much as I like being on the show, that he's worried about whether or not he could get credentials or media releases from the NBA and the NHL. They're the most standoffish organizations. Don't worry about it, JB. Focus on the Major League Baseball. You focus on the NFL, NASCAR are the ones that want you, college football, not the ones that, frankly, struggle to begin with. So not to get off topic a little bit, I just want to say that I think Darryl Dawkins was good for the game. He really was. He was ahead of his time. And I have no problem. Did you ever find out whether or not he was on the Pistons or not?
He didn't win a ring, though.
But he was on the Pistons, right?
Yes, from 87 to 89.
Right, and that's when I covered the team during the championship year. So therefore, yeah, I knew he was on there, and I probably saw him play a lot. He was a good defender. and obviously a good rebounder. I don't think his scoring knocked you out of the charts or anything like that. But I liked it. Obviously you can't go out there and bash a backboard all the time, and they did it. And I'm glad that they got the New Orleans. But I don't crucify the guy for shattering a backboard.
Yeah.
I know. It was good entertainment. That was entertainment. It just the problem was everybody was so upset that the game was delayed by 10, 20 minutes until you clean up the glass and all that. But hey, listen,
if I was there, my job would still be open. Be like literally a fly would probably fly through there and then go out my ear.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Darryl Dawkins was good for the game. It was a shame that he passed early, but I have no issue with the guy.
Well, the thing about this is the thing though, is you get something like a Darryl Dawkins. You were bringing up how this was the different era, the ones where there's no patty cake, as you bring that up. Like
right.
you've heard me bring this up week after week in different shows. The biggest thing that it is right now is sports is run by agents and lawyers now.
Oh yeah,
they're just that. I mean, the first step to bringing that back is you have to go find the one that doesn't care. Because here's the thing, like Justin Fields, like for the Bears, they wanted to play badly and they wouldn't let him. They just didn't want him to get hurt, didn't want all that kind of stuff. Most any era, he'd be out on the field. So I mean, this is lawyers and managers. I want to get a big percentage of his check when he gets a big one. They want to get that. They want to get the piece of that pie. They don't want him out early, because then there's somebody else. That's just so many people. That's so many of athletes now, and you have to find the lawyers and the agents and see which one wants to go back. Other than that, we're where we at now.
No, exactly. Yeah, Jacob, you are so on point. Lawyers and agents are dominating what it is. That's why the hesitancy to do certain decisions are a result of. And obviously, you just explained that as thoroughly as anybody can do that.
All right. Well, great points by everybody on this moment and on the background on why things are or how they are. I agree. It's gonna, but you know what? Even I will say before we go to the next topic, it may not be just one person. It's going to take a chain of people who are
but it starts with
it starts. But the real story is the follow up. Who's going to be along with him? Because they could just easily dismiss him and say this isn't 1982. Or they could fall in line and say, hey, you know what? We do need to bring that back. I mean,
no. You remember? There's a whole era. There's a whole era right now who's born 96, whatever, 2000, whatever. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? We don't even know this. That's the biggest thing about when you make this. They're like, what is this? It's like, I'm going to have to call the cops now.
Right.
It's like, that's exactly what they would say. They don't even know what we know.
No, they absolutely don't. Our second Basketbros moment in time, good way to segue into this next one, and that is we're going to take a look back at the Western Conference Finals in 2000, Game 7. The Kobe-To-Shaq Lob seals Lakers' victory and the Western Conference en route to it was a fourth championship at or one or fourth. But the Blazers led by 13 points going into the fourth quarter. The Lakers actually outscored them 31-13 in the fourth period. The Blazers went 7 minutes, 30 seconds without scoring. They missed 13 shots in a row. They literally fumbled this game away. Let's see. And then, of course, there's the iconic Kobe Bryant finds Shaquille O'Neal, on the alley-oop. Crowd goes crazy, seals the victory and everything. But a great moment in NBA history, most definitely. Shaq had 18 points. Kobe had 25. Defining come from behind victory. They rolled into the finals with all the momentum in the world and won the championship. But let's swing on over to Will. Your thoughts on this moment? Kobe-To-Shaq Lob seals Lakers victory.
Yeah, Kobe had a crazy game. He had 25 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 blocks. I remember I was in Europe living at this time, but I've seen this clip so many times on YouTube. I remember it's like Kobe lobs it to Shaq, and then Shaq, I think Blazers call a timeout, and Shaq's like running down the court pointing at the Blazers bench, celebrating. And the Blazers only shot 5 for 23 in the fourth quarter, and this Blazers team was good, but they had a bunch of veterans. Like Scottie Pippen was on that team. I think Rasheed Wallace
Wallace
was on
that
team.
squad. Arvydas Sabonis was on that squad.
Yeah, it was like a team full of like guys who were past their prime. Shaq was not playing well until the fourth quarter because the Blazers' front court was giving him issues. But still, like you said, they outscored the Blazers in the fourth quarter, 31-13. And this cemented them going to the finals, and it was their first finals appearance since 1991.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the Lakers were hungry.
Yes,
that's all I have to say.
Yeah, wasn't Rick Adelman the coach of that team, if I remember right?
Adelman, yeah.
Adelman of the Blazers team, yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you. Well, I'll wait my turn here, but Rick Adelman had some great times there. I'll wait to give you my thoughts on the Blazers. I thought Rick Adelman, he's the type of guy that could definitely coach veterans for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, that was in route. That was 2000 Lakers, 0102. So that was one of three. They would have had a fourth, but they lost to the Pistons. But swinging on over to Jacob, your thoughts about that moment and this game in general?
It changed everything with it because you got to remember, Shaq came in, what was it, 94, 95, right?
Shaq came in 92.
92. Okay, thank you. People look at Michaels, he had to take his years. And he had so many years to go get hits. You know what I mean? Let's see, 7 years. Shaq was 7 or 8, before he got his. He got the same treatment of, he's just he'd be a front runner. He got the same treatment of, he can't finish. You can't get all that kind of stuff. I mean, and Kobe, people forget this about Kobe. He was the guy that had the air ball in one of the playoff series, going for it. And media wasn't in the locker room when people were talking about it, and they were thinking that was going to be a bust. There was media that was going after that. And he just worked and it's Mamba. It's the Mamba mentality, You have all those, but it changed everything. If you got to remember, Kobe and Shaq swung fists at each other. Mm-hmm. If they didn't get together for that one moment, and Kobe decided to take it and he missed again, or Shaq decided to get any of that kind of stuff, it may have been even another 2 or 3 years before. And I know Shaq would get his, or he may have gotten one with the Lakers. Remember, everything is momentum. Everything's momentum. And it's like, it made it easy. And then they caught a thing because they got Indiana. They got Indiana. Now, Bird with Indiana was a great coach, but they didn't have that same. They did not have that same. They did not have that same talent.
It was a great feel-good story. It was a great feel-good story of Reggie Miller finally getting to the finals. But everyone outside of Indianapolis knew they were not winning the NBA championship. They weren't beating that Lakers team.
Well, see, the only way they're going to have that chance is if Bird suits up, and he wasn't going to be doing that.
With a bad back. So, go ahead. Swinging on over to...
no, what were you saying? What were you saying?
Scott.
Okay.
All right.
I thought you had finished everything, but go ahead, Scott.
All right, let me define the Blazers in a couple ways. If there are a couple ways to talk about the Portland Trail Blazers, they're one of the most tough luck franchises I have ever seen in my life. I actually had an opportunity to cover a Blazers game many years ago at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. It was pretty neat. I mean, I'm from the Detroit area. They didn't kill me, so that's why I'm talking to you guys. And I had a chance. It's a beautiful area, too. I think I saw like 1 or 2 games out there. But they're just a tough luck franchise. The Pistons hadn't won in ages, and they walked in there and they swept the Blazers to win the NBA championship en route to our second title in a row, obviously first coming at the expense of the Lakers the year before that. Then what do you think happens? They run into a buzzsaw by the name of Michael Jordan. You ever heard him? I think he's pretty good.
I think he's okay.
So then they end up losing there, and then they have this bad luck here facing the Lakers team that was destined to get to the finals. So, everybody knows that when we talk about Kobe and Shaq, and I'm not trying to go around your question, that they could have done a whole lot better had they have stayed together than going their separate ways. Yeah, Kobe went on and did all right with Phil. Shaq ended up winning another championship, I think, with Miami, and his career was the same. And ironically, I met Shaquille O'Neal at the Palace of Auburn Hills many years ago for the Dream Team, and I sat there and talked to one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. All you needed to do with him was just need a ladder to kind of look up to the guy because he's big, and
He's tall.
but he's great. So what would have been, what I just think the bad luck was really on the Blazers that they fell apart at crunch time is what they did against a superior LA Lakers team. So is it a matter of a moment or an alley-oop that leads to a victory? No, I think a lot of times we'll say you may have the defining moment that looks good, maybe on, like, I'll use a Jacob Christner reference, like TikTok, right, and all that business. But here's the deal, okay? What about the events that lead up to those moments where you have certain plays and streaks that force you to get to that moment where guys like us here in the media talk about it?
Yeah.
So that particular play that defined it. I mean, if we're going to sit there and go that far, I know that I hope I'm not branching too far off. I just want to make an illustration there if I can. And we'll do a confidential one if I can. We talk about Steve Bartman in that famous situation. Well, let's not forget, Cubs fans, you had a chance to win it the next day, and you
in Game 7, absolutely
right.
And
so don't give me this business about
a 2-run lead, and a 3-run and a 2-run lead.
Right. But my point is you talk about the events. Okay, you have one moment. Okay. Hey, listen, Whitney Houston has on one moment in time. Okay. And by the way, it was one of my favorite songs. But sports are defined by moments, is what they are. So as we look at this topic, the one moment that seals it. No, there are a lot of moments leading. The only one that you're going to get is the old TikTok tip. Is that what you call it these days? And that one little segment.
Tic-tac.
Right, whatever. I have no idea. I opened an account and I've lost track of it and I don't even bother with it anymore. I'm too busy. But so when we talk about moments, okay, that define an ending, let's not forget about all the events that lead to that moment. Right. That's what we have to understand. They get to that point. Don't you think if the Blazers would have blown them out, we wouldn't worry about some alley-oop play at the very end where that gets a highlight reel? That's where I'm going. So I'm not trying to disrespect the Kobe-To-Shaq alley-oop. That had nothing to do with it. I can tell you how many times Magic Johnson had a great alley-oop to Greg Kelser that nobody knew about it either. And all these things that lead with a guard leading to a center and it slams it home, and, Chick Hearn moments. There's an old guy for you. So while it was great for basketball, I think the problem with the Blazers is somewhere along the way with all those great players that you guys mentioned, okay, to me, you have to, and I'm not downplaying the moment. I always look at the events that lead up to it. And again, that's why I made reference to the Cubs situation with Bartman and all these other players.
No, 100%.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. And as a matter of fact, you kind of validated what I had said in the beginning, because part of those moments that led up to that moment was the Blazers blew a 13-point lead. Right. They missed 13 straight shots. They had all of this that went wrong that led up to the Lakers comeback in said moment. So yes, you're absolutely correct. I 100% agree with you. So we got about a few minutes left. So two quick topics. Okay. Place a legend with a legendary college coach. Will's gonna hate my guts for what I'm about to say. Put Michael Jordan with Coach K.
I don't hate it.
Put Michael Jordan with Coach K. Just imagine if he would have had. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like what he had in college, that was great. That was phenomenal. Just imagine if he had Coach K. He probably gets a couple more.
He had Dean Smith. I mean, that's just as good.
Dean Smith, yeah.
Yep.
Well, go ahead, Will.
So, I've got one kind of similar. Allen Iverson, Phil Jackson, because Allen Iverson was the guy.
College coach.
The guy.
Hey, Will,
college coach. Yeah,
college coach. I thought it was just
no. Will, college coach, legendary college coach.
Man, Allen Iverson. I would say like a Dean Smith.
Okay.
Because I know he had John Thompson, and he does, like I've said this with Scott probably remembers I brought up that Allen Iverson at his Hall of Fame speech said, John Thompson saved my life or else I would probably be dead or on the side of the road right now. Well, probably Dean Smith would be the same way. He'd be a lot tougher. He'd probably be the same level as intensity, but he could have probably brought more titles to UNC for sure.
Nice. Jacob, what about you?
Let's see, something, this would be the thing, but not a legend, but let me put this right now. Greg Oden with John Thompson.
Ooh.
Yeah, Greg Oden with John Thompson. Of course, people say Bird with Bobby Knight. That's obvious to me. It's Bird with John Wooden.
Yeah, is that the one you stole from me?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, you stole that from me. I'll know better than to divulge mine in the future.
I would have said that anyway. I would have said it anyway.
Oh yeah, but no, I mentioned it. Now I got to be.
I know. I would have said it anyway though. But I would say Bird with Knight also. You know what I mean? I'll say with Bird with Knight just because I think they win 4 straight national titles if he's there.
Nice. Go ahead, Scott.
All right, well, all right, I'll give you a mulligan, but yeah, my choice is John Wooden and Larry Bird. But here's the one thing you didn't take away from me is that number one, Bird played at Indiana State, and actually John Wooden coached there before he went to UCLA. So he went from Indiana State to UCLA. Now, I love every one of your choices. Will's, yours was actually not bad either, and I loved yours, Denzel. Okay, but remember, once upon a time though, Michael Jordan. Okay, he played for Bobby Knight in the Olympics, didn't he? So
yes, he did.
That was interesting. So no, I'm just going to go ahead and rally around the fact that I got to be a lot smarter and say, yes, I think the topic is really good. Keep my mouth shut.
I would have said that. I would have said it anyway.
All right, well, that's okay. That's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just giving you a hard time because the Indiana State connection. Well, I think all your choices are really good. I mean, this is why. Give me yours again, Dens. What was yours again?
Mine was Michael Jordan with Coach K.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. Yeah, and it's amazing. Coach K had overtures many times to go to the NBA and nearly went to the Lakers, but had better ideas and thought better of it. So,
and like I said, I liked the idea of Greg Oden with John Thompson because he just loved those big, powerful centers.
Imagine Shaq with John Thompson.
That's another.
Yeah, well, again, you can spend. You're loaded there, Will. I don't know what you're drinking today, little brother, but that's good stuff. But I still like the Indiana State and the Indiana connection between Larry Bird and John Wooden. And I had the opportunity to talk to Coach Wooden, and he's the greatest person I've ever seen in any sport. When I covered a UCLA Georgia game out in Southern California.
Scott, I have a question for you before when the show ends, if we could all stay, but
sure.
We could go to
we have about 2 minutes left. So real quick. And I kind of cheated the system here and added, name a past NBA or ABA city you would like to see an NBA team in today. My pick is St. Louis. They had the spirit of St. Louis in the ABA. I know, to my understanding, St. Louis residents are Bulls fans. I mean, they're a sport passionate city, especially, the Cardinals, the Blues. They had the football Cardinals and the Rams there at one point. Rams have won a Super Bowl in that city, I think, in my opinion, they're the most deserving of an NBA team. My only question is, how would they receive it? But yes, I think St. Louis. We can pretty much take Vegas off the list because they're going to get a team. That's a foregone conclusion. They're going to get a team. As a matter of fact, I think they announced already that Vegas and Seattle will receive teams. Seattle's getting a team back, and I can bet 100% they're going to want the Supersonics back. So you got that right there. But yeah, my pick, St. Louis. Will, who's yours?
Well, it's just the team you said, Seattle. Why would you take away the Supersonics? I'll go real quick. I thought moving to OKC was dumb. No offense. I get it. They have fans. You got college basketball. You got college football. Oklahoma's appealing. But, come on. Bring back the Supersonics. That Supersonics was iconic in Seattle. And how many great NBA players are from Seattle? A ton. So please bring back a team.
Well, they didn't have a stadium, man. They wanted to keep it, and for 20 years they couldn't get a stadium. They hated to see it go. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
no, you're good.
It was a bad situation for 20 years, and their hand was forced.
But I still want Seattle.
Well,
of course.
Okay.
Jacob, on you.
Oh, I would have said St. Louis too. I appreciate you. I know, but the thing is, I live 2 hours from it. It's an amazing. I wish it would get NFL again. It is. I'm sorry. It is an amazing sports town. But I would also say Kansas City, and I'm going to give you a wild card: the old Kentucky Colonels.
Yes.
I think. To me, Kentucky Colonels would be absolutely like the Oklahoma City of right now.
Yeah.
You could have that. They would be able to. I believe in that area, they would absolutely be able to get an NBA team.
Nice. And then finally, Scott, which one would you pick?
Well, Gizo point. Gizo Pete, Jacob, if there's ever been anybody on a roll tonight, it's you. Seattle, without a doubt. And I saw a game with the Sonics many years ago where it's Seattle, Colorado. They should have never lost, but stadium is the reason why they did. And yes, I'm going to go back to the Kentucky Colonels, who once upon a time were coached by Huey Brown. So, yeah, I think Louisville can easily support the NBA. And why they haven't put him back there to this day, now they never will, but it's a shame because if you're going to put a team in Carolina, how the heck do you not put one in Kentucky of all places?
In Kentucky, yeah. The only question that I would have, Scott, and feel free to answer, of course, is how would Louisville receive it? Because University of Louisville basketball is pretty much king in that city. So how would they receive an NBA team? You know, it's kind of like, you know, when LA got an NFL franchise back, you know what I mean? And they were saying, hey, the football team around there is USC. So it's just a question of how would they receive it? Would they even care?
You know what? Better than you think. I think it is. I mean, number one, you know, it'd be great for Louisville Cardinals to be able to say, hey, I'd love to play for the Kentucky Colonels down the road. How many times you've seen iconic programs in NBA cities? I mean, think you got UCLA with the Bruins and the Lakers. I mean, and the list goes on and on. And you have Michigan Wolverines with the Pistons when they were good. You know, so much better than you think, Denzel. I think it would be. Yeah. You have a hometown dream. I'm playing for Louisville Cardinals, and I get to play at the KFC Yum Center. I think that's what it's called these days. And you know, back then I don't know where they played. But I think it's much better than you received, Denzel. I do. I think it'd be great.
I agree. I think the pressure would be on them just a little bit because of the history of the Louisville Cardinals winning them national titles and everything, you know. So the pressure may be on them, maybe not to be good immediately, but to kind of, I guess, live up to the standards of that city. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing.
Well, but here's the thing. You know why you won't see it? Because the market size isn't very big anyhow, and they're going to go to the big market. But other than that, I mean, if you take market size, Denzel, Jacob, and Will out of the equation, I think it's great. But nowadays they're looking at market size, and there's no way Louisville has a chance. So, you know, it's a hypothetical that we can all talk about, but I think it'd be great, but it'll never happen. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yes, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Basketbros. Let's see. Will, where can everybody find you?
Mondays starting in January, NBA Carousel. Thursdays, the Sip Off. Sunday nights here.
All right, awesome. And one more time, just as a reminder, if you are a first-time viewer, first of all, thank you. Second of all, subscribe to Sideline Sports. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It's more than Basketbros. We got a plethora of shows. We have The Gauntlet. We have Pundit. We have Confidential. There's the Sports Arena. There's J&J Sports Express. Sideline Sports Show, Three Chicks in a Pod, Chicks and Salsa, Cold Hard Truth. Ray J. Lynn has got a new one, Ball Don't Lie, premiering tomorrow night. You know, so absolutely tune in to Sideline Sports. We've got a plethora of shows all week long, all hot content. Jacob, where can everyone find
you? Sunday nights here. Sunday nights here with Basketbros, and then ends up starting next week with John Shearer. The name for right now is the Check Down, but we might have a new name. It is for football, and it is for football for the rest of the year after the games are over with. Monday nights starting in January, I'm with Megan Price's NBA Carousel. Tuesday nights, Confidential. Wednesday nights, Pundit, Scott, Denzel, Jen. And then I'm also with Scott's with the Sports Exchange. Thursday nights, I'm away from it and away from Sideline Sports, and I do a show called Yin and Yang with TJ Sanson. We do politics, we do film, we do psychology, all kinds of different stuff. And we're working on a couple of movies right now. And every once in a while, I get invited on the Gauntlet. So I stay pretty busy.
All right. And last but not least, Scott, where can everyone find you?
All right. Well, you know what? Obviously, I enjoy being with you guys on Sunday night here on this show. as well as on Pundit's Pundit. I think this is a great show that you have there, and I'm really thrilled. And yeah, my Twitter stuff is at Tribune South. Please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, and you get to see all of my shows, and there are a lot of them. And our website's www.southfloridatribune.com, and yeah, you just flash the Twitter at Tribune South. So great stuff. Enjoy working with Sideline. Certainly one of the biggest positive developments in my life all year, building our platform to be connected with such a class outfit like every one of you guys. And I mean every one of you guys and gals.
And absolutely, most definitely, Scott is a part of the loaded Wednesday lineup. So, you got Pundit's Pundit, and then you got Sports Exchange back to back. So, like I said, all hot content all the time. But that's our show. So for Will, Jacob, and Scott, I'm Denzel Snipes. We will see you in 7 days. Now, go to Sunday Night Football, 7-0 Philadelphia. Later.